Welcome everyone. Kevin Michael Schmitz here, and I'm here in Australia talking about one of my favorite topics, which is the 2022 New Year's resolution. And each year I do one of these, and I love to jump on a webinar and get everybody thinking about what they're going to do in the new year. And now could not be a better time. We are coming out of one of the biggest crises in history in the photographic industry over the last couple of years. But hey, there's good news. Right now, more than ever before, the photographic industry is skyrocketing to new heights. And I know, it might seem different to each photographer in each area, in each market in the industry, but I can tell you what, things are changing for the better. The photographic industry has transformed just recently, and now we're seeing more opportunity than ever before. Now, let me break that down and what that means. So depending on what type of photography, and I don't care if you're in landscape photography, travel photography, shooting fashion, portraiture, weddings, you're shooting events, really all of these industries have been pretty crippled during the whole COVID nightmare. But right now, things are opening up. Travel industry is starting to get back on track at a hum. And I've, personally had experience with that over the last year. I've traveled to France 3 times, to Switzerland, been to the Maldives twice. I've filmed the 3 episodes of my TV show, Great Escapes, around the world. I've shot at some of the most ultra 5-star and even 7-star resorts around the world. I've also had the opportunity to have huge advertising campaigns with major brands, and I'm getting in more and more each day. Every couple of weeks, I get another opportunity to bid on a 6-figure ad campaign, shooting lifestyle, fashion, and beauty advertising campaigns. So the opportunities are abound. Photographers that I speak to that are wedding photographers right now, during COVID, so many people had to delay their weddings. So many people had to delay scheduling that special event. And I know that's tough for photographers because they kept kicking it back further and further. But now everything is being scheduled. Everything is being put into motion, whether it's this year or whether it's next year in 2023. But either way, photographers are booking more than ever before. And I've been coaching photographers. I do all the time, every day. I'm coaching photographers and guiding them and helping them. So I'm hearing from the front lines that photographers are absolutely crushing it in the wedding industry. So I want you guys to realize that there are opportunities. There are amazing opportunities that I think you guys need to capitalize on. Now in the fashion space, I feel like that's something that is become really a hot topic right now because, of course, a lot of the fashion magazines have really, shuttered their doors or gone bankrupt, and a lot of things have kind of frozen during the whole, craziness of the last couple of years. However, a lot of fashion brands are going full on. They are investing because now everybody coming out of, all this craziness, all this lockdown, and right now more than ever before, brands are starting to spend. They're starting to spend on their business. They're starting to spend on their brand. They're starting to spend on shooting advertising, and a lot of it, obviously they want to promote with social media. They want video content. They're buying commercials. Not only commercials for broadcast media, but also digital commercials. Stuff is happening, you guys, and I'm seeing it on the front lines. And I'm telling you what, you could not be a better time in history to be a working photographer. Now, the critical thing is let's think about what is your resolution? What is your New Year's resolution in photography? That's what I want to know, because a lot of times, photographers were just thinking, oh yeah, like I'm just going to kind of do the status quo, same thing I did last year. Let's just continue on. But you know what? That's not what I want. I want you guys to start thinking about what your strategy is going to be. What is it that you really want? And if you're a wedding photographer, do you want to, have more weddings? Do you want to make more per wedding? Is it about, do you want to get into maybe a different branch of photography, going into fashion or lifestyle photography? What does that look like? So I really want you to start thinking about this, because this is one of the most critical aspects and one of the most important things to do with going in and really thinking about what is important for your 2022. What I want to know is, what is your 2022 New Year's photographic resolution? And I encourage you guys to all write it in the Q&A section of this webinar, because I want to know. And I actually, we're going to even have some live 2022 New Year's resolution developments and business strategy plans that we're going to do live during this webinar with photographers that have volunteered. And we're excited because this is an opportunity for you guys to not only do that live from someone like myself who has a lot of experience in developing photographers. And I mean, I've literally touched thousands and thousands of photographers' careers over my career, and I've developed photographers from being portrait photographers in rural areas to becoming photographers that shoot for Dolce & Gabbana, Prada, Louis Vuitton, shooting for Vogue, Vanity Fair, Harper's Bazaar, Elle Magazine, and shooting campaigns and opportunities that they never even dreamed possible. But that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you guys. So I'd love to have you guys jump on and tell me in the Q&A, what is your 2022 New Year's resolution? Now, it could be, do you want to make more money? Do you have a financial goal? You know, what is it? Is it, you know, do you want to make, you know, amount per shoot that's a bit more? You know, are you sick of shooting $2,000 weddings and you want to shoot a $10,000 wedding? Or, you know, are you sick of, you know, doing just model tests and making, you know, several $100s for model tests, and you want to shoot an ad campaign and make $150,000 on a shoot? What does that look like? You know, what do you want? What is the most ideal for you? So I want you to really think about it. And I want you guys to start thinking about, what is your 2022 New Year's resolution in photography? What does that look like? Because right now is absolutely critical for you to start thinking about this and start targeting this, so that I can personally help you along with my team to make sure it becomes a reality. Now, I've had a lot of opportunity with, you know, our photographic consultants like Priscilla Evans and Daniel Rothschild have worked with many of you guys over the last year to develop your photographic portfolio, your brand, your marketing, develop your business strategy, all aspects of that. Now, I want to start, you know, thinking about, okay, now that you have a goal, okay, maybe my goal is to make $300,000 for this year in photography, whatever it is for you guys. Okay, if that's your goal, or my goal is to shoot $10,000 weddings instead of $2,000 weddings, or my goal is to get published in, say, 3 big magazines this year. What does that look like? So I want you to consider that. Consider, what does that look like, what your goals are, and what you want to achieve as far as financial goals, as far as portfolio goals, as far as connections. Or maybe you're just doing this for fun and you just want to maybe win awards, win photographic awards, like many of our photographers have been doing this year. They've been submitting and winning awards left and right, just as Jane Ritchie, who is going to be one of our panelists on today. She's been entering and winning all kinds of awards from images shot at the workshops, which is really exciting. And, you know, what does that look like for you? So, all right, guys, let's look at the chat and the Q&A, and I want to see what you guys are really thinking about as far as what your resolutions are. So please make sure to write that down, and I want to hear about it. Okay, Felinda Roy, she says, and Felinda, this has been such a pleasure to connect with you. You want to make a 6-figure salary as an advertising photographer, and that's my goal. She doesn't make resolutions. Okay, well, that's your goal. I love it. Okay, and Jane Ritchie says her goal is this year is to get 4 to 5 new clients with 5 to 6 figures for lifestyle advertising. Okay, and those are great. Those are nice conservative goals, and I think that that sounds fantastic. I want you guys to also think a little bit bigger. You know what, Felinda? Instead of just a 6-figure salary, let's think about maybe a bit more. Not just 6 figures, not just breaking 100,000. What would it look like to hit 200,000? What would it look like to hit 300,000 as a photographer? Start thinking a little bit bigger. I can tell you what, in my career, one of the things that I have practiced each year, each and every year, and I do this right around Christmas holiday season, right starting in January, going into January, is I start to write out my strategy plan, the Kevin Michael Schmidt's strategy plan, what I'm going to do this year, going into that next year. I start thinking about financial goals. I start thinking about, okay, what type of projects do I want to do? Where do I want my businesses to go? How do I want my brands to be perceived? What does my portfolio need? What does my marketing strategy need? And what does that need to look like? Okay. And then I start to think about and I start to feel how it's going to feel like when I've achieved those goals. And essentially, I'm manifesting everything into my reality. And if you guys, may or may not believe in that kind of mantra, I can tell you what, coming from somebody like myself that started off with nothing, from nowhere. I grew up in a rural little Midwest village in rural Michigan, literally in the middle of nowhere. Okay. And I had nothing. I didn't have any sort of financial investment. I had, parents that didn't help me whatsoever financially. I had to do everything myself. And for someone like me, I mean, I've been able to literally think and feel what my goals, what those resolutions are, and feel as though I've already achieved it. And then, believe it or not, it all resonates into reality. Whether it's been shooting six-figure campaigns, whether it's become being a TV host, director, and producer of a TV show, major TV show, Great Escapes, and other additional shows that I've just landed, but also buying a castle. I mean, there's no way I could possibly explain other than being able to manifest and create this into reality by setting this as a resolution for myself, how to buy a castle in my 30s. I mean, it's absolutely insane to most people. How can you do that? Buy a 49-room castle in France. I mean, not just financially, but logistically. It's one of the most difficult things that I've ever done in my lifetime. But to be able to manifest that into reality and to create it and to make it happen. So I can tell you what, this is real. And I want you to start thinking a little bit differently about your photography, about your business, about your life. What is it that you need to achieve? What is it that you need to be able to achieve those goals? How do you need to feel? And I can tell you what, the emotional side of it, the connected side of it, being able to put yourself in the right mood. And, we had a photographer just a second ago, write some comment about how, their personal life is having problems. Christina says Christina wrote here that what happens when she doesn't have any money and she's got nothing? What does she do? So, I would say, what, Christina, like, there's nothing wrong with that. If you guys ever listen to kind of the Tony Robbins mantra of there being 4 seasons in business, essentially there's the winter season, which is literally the darkest time, which is right now. Or I should say it was over the last couple of years. It was the winter season during COVID when everything was dark and collapsing and everyone was freaking out and the stock market was tumbling and everything like that. Basically in early 2020, I would consider that the winter season. You go into the spring season, things start to open up. Things start to become opportunities on the horizon. Start thinking into the summer season when things are booming, which is, I believe, right now happening in 2022. We're really hitting that summer season when the business of photography is exploding because there's so much pent up demand. Consumer spending is it's hitting all-time highs. There is consumer confidence, consumer spending that is just hitting record amounts. The advertising industry has essentially, there are some companies in the Fortune 500 that are doubling how much they're spending in 2022. So money is being spent. The stock market is hitting all-time highs every day. So we are, I would say, in that summer season, and I would say we're about to get into that autumn, that harvest season, which is likely going to happen in 2023 when everything is crushing at a whole nother level. And that's when you can make your fortunes. But what do you need? and Christina and Felinda and also Jane and many of you, the rest of you that are on right now, what do you need to achieve that? Now, for myself, I understood this early on. I did my bachelor's and my MFA to be a professor of photography. And I realized early on that if I want to achieve my goals of getting published in major magazines, if I wanted to achieve my goals of landing huge ad campaigns and being a successful working celebrity fashion advertising photographer and also a TV director, what do I need in my portfolio? What does that look like? And I started to realize that I needed a world-class portfolio. I needed a portfolio that is so epic, that is so over the top, that it's going to knock the socks off of my clients. I needed something that shows that I'm not just a photographer, somebody that actually shoots iconic images. And I created a body of work of iconic images, images that just blow away the competition. So that when I showcase content like this to fashion brands, they're ready to book me. When you have a 40 image cohesive body of work that showcases the best of the best with the top models, the top supermodels in the world, with world-class high-end production at the highest level, clients respond. When you have production value that's so epic, that's so over the top, it just completely, like, it's almost like that drop the mic kind of scenario when you showcase content, you know, like just like we've done over the last year at our epic photographic workshops to showcase content that our photographers have created. Chicago, this is New York, with supermodels that have been in the Versace campaign, Vogue, Vanity Fair, and our most recent masterclass, something like this, where we created content that's truly iconic. It's award-winning and getting published. To me, this gets me really excited because this is content that transcends your typical photographic portfolio. And that's what I'm excited about for each and every one of you, to develop content that is iconic. That's what I want. I want iconic images in 2022 because there is competition. There is a lot of competition all across the board in photography and in this photographic industry. And I need you to stand out. With content like this, you stand out. With content like this, you take it to a whole different level of quality, of production, of capability, of what clients are looking for. And I want to go step by step to develop a photographic business strategy plan and a photographic resolution for you in 2022. Because the resolution is essentially the goal, and the strategy plan is to essentially achieve, how do we achieve that goal? So I want to bring on one of my illustrious panelists. And I also, and meanwhile, while Jane's about to join, I'd strongly encourage you guys to write your New Year's resolutions. I've got a lot of kind of random comments on the Q&A and chat, but I want to hear your New Year's resolutions. I have an anonymous attendee saying that they're traumatized after 2020 and 2021. So I guess just get back on the horse and make some money for portrait photography and maybe take on a few weddings, videography, and weddings and wedding films. Okay, great. So, I mean, to you, I'm not sure your name. I'd love to know who that is, but I would love to work with you personally about developing a very profitable business for 2022, because you know what, if you were in that space of portrait and wedding photography, now is the best time. There's been so much pent up demand that things are exploding right now. So I encourage you to get involved, and also I would recommend that you jump on and develop get on a strategy session with one of our photographic consultants, because I can tell you what, that is where it all starts. And whether you're consulting with me personally or with one of our expert photographic consultants, such as Daniel Rothschild or Priscilla Evans, they'll help you take it to the next level. They'll help you, guide you, develop your business strategy plan, and get you guys ready to go so that you are crushing it in the photographic industry. And that's essentially what I want. I want you hitting these goals. I want you to decide what these goals are, and I want to figure out a way and give you guys every possibility to hit and succeed in those goals and crush it at a level that you never even thought was possible. So that's really important to me. All right, I'm gonna also list out in the chat a link to develop what does that look like? If you want to set up your 2022 strategy plan, we can actually set up a personalized one-on-one consult with one of our photographic consultants. Even if you guys have done this before with us, that's totally fine. We're here to give and here to help and here to mentor our photographers and help you guys achieve greatness. Okay, and before I get Jane on, because Jane, I'm gonna have you as my first panelist, I'm gonna mention a few of these great I should say photographic goals and strategy, and essentially what your 2022 New Year's resolutions are, because I noticed there's a bunch in the chat. Okay, let's see. All right, Mark Weiss, he says he's from New York City. His goal is to transform an ad from still life to strong portrait book for both advertising, editorial, and work with a social impact. I love it, Mark. Really great to hear. I think that that's a really strong perspective. And I think if you can have a social impact, it can really add not only to helping others, but also to your brand, because a lot of ad agencies, creative directors, art producers, they are drawn to photographers that want to, not only create great content for the brands, but also have a social impact and change the world. So I think that's brilliant, Mark. I'd love to personally work with you and develop a strategy plan step by step on how to make that happen. So Mark Weiss, I strongly recommend, go ahead and click that link in the chat. To set up a Calendly appointment with one of our photographic strategists to develop a 2022 New Year's resolution photographic strategy with you. I think that'll be really, really important. Maurice Sanders says, hello from Michigan. Good to see you. I'm actually from Michigan, Maurice, so it's great to connect with you. I'm from a small little village called Middleville in the middle of nowhere in West Michigan. Currently right now, I'm broadcasting live from Australia. So I'm here in Sydney, Australia. I've been here and I've also been shooting some incredible stuff while I've been here and actually doing some really spectacular landscape and aerial drone photography and filming down under here. So it's been pretty amazing. We've got photographers joining us from all over, from Felinda's from Miami, Kelvin Field, good to see you. You're from Pasadena. Eric Humphrey from Texas. And I love Ken Sexton's 2022 is going to be great. Good to see you, Ken. And I'm glad. I'd love to hear that. It was great to see you at one of our epic workshops this last year. David West says he plans on selling his photography around the world. So he wants the international market, which I love, David. I mean, that's something that we specialize in because we're very international. I work, I'm located in California, but I'm constantly at my castle in France. I'm shooting with supermodels in France. In fact, I'm actually in post-production on a big production I did there while I was there a few months back. And I've got some incredible content to release. But I sell photography all over the world and I work with clients all over the world. And I'd love to help you, David, maximize your business for 2022. So really, really great to hear. You guys have some fantastic comments in the chat. I also, let's see. All right. So hello from Massachusetts. Sharon Hirsch, good to see you. Her goal is to build family and event photography. Love it. Well, the good news is that family and event photography, Sharon, I know it's been tough, especially for events. Event photographers got kind of crushed over the last couple of years because of all the COVID rules and everything. But I want to remind you that, events have all been pushed back to 2022 and 2023. So you should be booming. In fact, a lot of photographers that I work with that are event photographers, even Eric Michael Clark, who's one of my my proteges. I don't know if he's on right now, but he's taken about 11 workshops over the years with us. He specializes in event photography in Chicago, and he is booked solid. The great Martika Gartman that does a tremendous amount of events and portraits. She was our panelist at the last webinar, and she talked about how she is now making more as a photographer professionally full-time than she ever did as an attorney. And she has been sending me all kinds of huge success stories, getting like massive jobs where she lands doing headshots for like 700 employees at a company and getting, just crushing it and making enormous sums of money doing it and doing what she loves to do. So the success though started with Martika attending these epic workshops and building content, even as a portrait photographer at our amazing workshops. Because even though our workshops specialize in high-end lifestyle and high-end fashion photography, a lot of our best images are tight shots where, you know, they're essentially portraits and really strong close-ups of the model. So remember, that is really key. And if you are marketing yourself as a portrait photographer, just imagine if you had content with top talent, close shots, headshots, as well as tight shots. It could be portraits, how that can help achieve your goals in photography. Because just having, you know, pictures of your clients is one thing, but pictures that are tight, headshots and portraits of supermodels is a whole different story. So it really can make a big difference. So, all right, guys, these are some really, really great goals. I love to hear Mike Nakamura, his goals to double his gross revenue to $250,000 for 2022. I love that, Mike. And I know that you and I are going to work personally to make those goals happen this year. I really want to help you, Mike. And you and our team, I think you're working with Daniel Rothschild. We're going to do what we can to help guide you to maximize that type of goal and make that a reality. And for Linda, more defined goal, she says to make $200,000 in 2022. I love it, for Linda. That sounds excellent. And Jack O'Partney, just moved to Austin, need to break into the market here, and do I need to get an agent? Great question, Jack. There are agents in Texas, but generally, and I know them personally, I actually have worked with them. I've even had them on as panelists at our photographic workshops we've had in Texas. Jack, it would be fantastic to get a photographic agent, but I can tell you what, now is probably going to be a challenging time to get an agent in a market like Texas because it's a smaller market. But I would start thinking about getting more of a national presence. And I'd strongly encourage that to my photographers, not just, you know, thinking small in your region, but start thinking big and start thinking about a national presence or an international presence. You know, for myself, I've been repped by 4 different agents in my career. I think my first agent, I was represented when I was 24 years old by AA Reps in New York with Mike Mendelson. And I took the hard road to get an agent, and I hustled and I contacted, you know, literally over 100 agents in the United States and also in Europe. And I started, you know, knocking down the doors, building relationships. And I went through the process of getting myself in front of them to get them to know who I was. Even as a 24-year-old punk kid right out of photography school, I was like, I don't care. I'm just going to hustle, and I have a goal. My resolution at that time was to be represented by an agent. My goal was to get represented by an agent, not just in a local area, because I grew up in Michigan, went to graduate school in San Francisco, moved down to Los Angeles. I wanted an agent in New York because I felt like that was going to, you know, kind of take me to the next level, make me more high profile. And it did. But getting an agent in New York is not easy. I had to hustle. I had to push and get rejected every single day, day in and day out, to get rejected. But it was absolutely wonderful. And I'd recommend you guys actually watch my photographic webinar on overcoming rejection, because it is one of my favorites I've ever done. You can watch it on our YouTube channel, and we have over 40 webinars on there. But overcoming rejection, I mean, it is absolutely key and critical. And it's what I want you guys to start really thinking about if you want to achieve some of these grandiose goals, especially if it's to, you know, to make way more money than you ever had before, to land way more high profile clients, or to get, you know, to shoot for major magazines, or to shoot for huge ad campaigns, or to get represented by an agent. You've got to be able to get rejected, and you got to like it. Because I know it sounds crazy, but I love rejection. Me personally, I get rejected all the time, every day, all the time. I love it. I live and I thrive to get rejected. Because if I'm not getting rejected, that means that nobody is looking at me. That means that nobody knows who I am. Nobody cares. Nobody's even considering Kevin Michael Schmitz to film their commercial, film their television show, photograph the celebrities, photograph their advertising campaigns. You know, I mean, I just got an opportunity to, it was True Botanicals had contacted me to shoot a campaign for Brooke Shields. So I went through the process of bidding on the campaign. This just happened last month. And I ended up not getting it because I had, the publicist went ahead and went with a photographer they shot with last time. But you know what? The fact that I bid on the campaign and I almost landed that campaign, it was not even that big of a budget. I think it was, I don't even remember, like $50,000 or something like that, which is fairly small in the grand scheme of things. I normally shoot like $150,000 and $200,000 campaigns. But just bidding on that high profile job, that made me excited. The fact that I got rejected, who cares? Just move on to the next one. Move on to the next one. It doesn't matter. I thrive to be rejected. And it's one of my secret strategies to really achieving the goals that you want to achieve for 2022 is you need to put yourself out there. You need to get yourself out there thinking about what kind of goals do I want to achieve. I'm going to go and I'm going to market myself, and I'm going to create content to market myself that is going to blow away the competition. And then I'm going to hustle and I'm going to get my content out there in front of people, and I'm going to get rejected all the time. And I'm going to love it because every time I get rejected, at least I know that they considered me, that they looked at me, that they know who I am. And I'm okay with that. As long as they are thinking about me and knowing me, and even if I get rejected, oftentimes though, believe it or not, guys, you're not being rejected for your photography. You're not being rejected, I should say, for the quality of your photography. You're rejected for a lot of other reasons. And that's what a lot of photographers don't realize. They think that, they're worried about putting their heart on their sleeve and putting themselves out there and, being rejected, and then it's going to crush their soul. It's not really about that. I mean, there are times when somebody might diss on your photography, but it's really unusual. I mean, in my whole career, I've almost never had that happen by major clients. I actually can't even remember a time when that happened, but I can tell you what they do diss on. Maybe your photography doesn't match what you're going for, what the client's going for. Maybe your photography is, executive portraits, and they're looking for maybe a lifestyle portrait. Or maybe your photography is more like fashion lifestyle and they're looking for more high fashion, or vice versa. I made that mistake many times by showcasing more high fashion work, and the clients were really looking for more lifestyle work, and I didn't get the job because of it. And what they'll tell you, they usually don't even tell you why, but I always like to ask if I didn't land it. Well, we went with a photographer that their work was more specific to what the client's needs were, kind of thing. They might say something like that because they wanted a photographer that's way more lifestyle, that's way more caught in the moment, right? So that's when you create a brand that's more lifestyle, that's more caught in the moment. And creating separate brands, which I've done over time, to develop content that's more specific to what the clients are looking for. Now, I encourage you guys to go ahead and answer the poll. I'm asking, which photographic workshop would you guys like to attend? If you wanted to develop your photographic portfolio, if you wanted to create content that is going to just blow the mind of clients for 2022, one really good strategy is to develop a world-class portfolio with the photography workshop series. Because I can tell you what, the photographers that have attended our workshops have shot the greatest images they've ever shot in their careers, hands down, and it's allowed them to have opportunities from landing $250,000 ad campaigns and shooting and making more than they ever did as working as a lawyer or in finance, or getting published, winning major awards. Our photographers have had incredible success, unbelievable success throughout their careers because of what they've been able to do by creating content at our workshops, both photographic and video content that transcends anything they even thought possible. So if you want to achieve greatness, it all starts with that epic photographic portfolio. It really does. It is absolutely critical, key, and as somebody that that can attest to this, the great Jane Ritchie. I'd love to bring you on. And Jane, I'm going to showcase your content, and I'm going to do a fun little exercise with you, Jane, because I actually want to live go through a 2022 New Year's resolution and strategy plan to make that New Year's resolution happen. And by the way, the images here that you guys see of Jane's, these are all shot at our epic photographic workshops. The vast majority of these images were all shot in this last year. between Newport Beach workshop on slice of life lifestyle, like that first image there, to Miami Beach. She has attended Chicago. She has attended our Elite Masterclass. She has just created mind-blowing content over the last year, and it's really upped her game and developed this epic lifestyle body of work. So Jane, I would love and I'd be honored to have you jump on and speak to this. And I would love for you to talk a little bit about what is your 2022 New Year's resolution in photography. And Jane, I'd love for you to tell us. And by the way, the image that's on the screen right now with Hannah Danley right there eating the strawberry, and Gil Suarez, and also Priscilla Evans in the background. Absolutely epic image that is completely iconic from a lifestyle standpoint. Absolutely stunning work, images that really show impact. They show experience, they showcase energy. They're images that are gonna book you on huge opportunities and campaigns. So Jane, without further ado, if you want to jump on and turn on your video, I'd love to see it. There she is. All right, so Jane, can you tell me, and first of all, Jane, you're in San Francisco, right?
I'm in San Francisco, yes. I don't see my face on there.
I can see it. You're just kind of on the side.
Okay.
Yep. So we're looking at your pictures,
Okay,
friends.
great.
But Jane, why don't you tell us, first of all, you're a photographer in San Francisco. You've taken several workshops of this over the last year and a half. What is your 2022 New Year's resolution in photography?
Okay, I'll start first of all saying that when the pandemic came around, I was scared to death, and I watched a few webinars of yours and of photo workshop series, and I got some fantastic information, and I then signed up for a workshop. And at that time, I wanted to do pharma and healthcare and wellness. And I was working for a hospital, and of course, they didn't shoot during 2020 because mostly we shot doctors and patients from the hospital, and it was all closed down. But as I took these workshops, I realized that my real love has always been fashion. I've done it for many years, and lifestyle with a fashion flair is what I really, really love. And my goal this year is to get maybe 5 to 6 really high-paying advertising jobs. And I have written out some steps of how I'm going to get these jobs. And a lot of these ideas of marketing can come from workshops that I took from you. I just am amazed, and I'm so excited by the work we did together. I took four workshops from you, and I'm taking the Las Vegas one, and I'm sure I'll take more, but that's what I'm signed up for next. And I feel that the fashion and the lifestyle kind of come together for me. So the types of clients I'm going after would be clients that use this type of work. I look at maybe like 125 to 150,000 for an ad campaign, and maybe get at least 4 or 5 of these, and possibly more if that can work out. But I feel that I have the tools for that now. And the other thing I really am eager to do is start shooting video. And I got a taste of that in your workshops. And I bought a gimbal, and I'm going to be really adding that to my content. So I went through and figured out what I was going to do month by month. And in order, it'll be mostly marketing work. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I loved that particular shoot. That was so much fun. And Chicago was really great.
This was the
I
lifestyle day of the Chicago workshop that we did. And Jane attended this and filmed with the gimbal and created just mind-blowing content. And these are just raw clips out of the camera. So Jane, can you tell me, you said 5 to 6 high-paying jobs. What type of jobs specifically for your that you want to achieve this year?
Well, one interview that I had, I also got Ad Edge to, they're very particular on who they represent, and they asked me to come aboard. So I had some virtual meetings with creatives on Ad Edge, and one of the creatives I talked to was an art director from Minnesota, and he was a creative director, and he handles Target. And I thought, well, Target, they're not going to pay much. They have all in-house, but that's not true. I found out that Target pays big money. They could pay up to 150,000 for an ad campaign. And that would be something I can easily do. I mean, maybe not easily, but if I have any questions about it, which I probably will, I'll certainly contact you, Kevin, because you are just an amazing fountain of knowledge. And it's possible I could ask you to help me with the casting and that type of thing too. And I feel so supported by you and by Dan Rothschild, who has been my major mentor other than you at the photo workshop series. So I feel that I could accomplish these things. And before I took these workshops, I was, my confidence was not so high. I didn't believe I could get jobs like this, and I didn't believe I could perform that. But now I really do. So yeah, that's pretty much what I was planning. Do you want to know specific actions that I want to do to get there?
Well, okay, so you mentioned a brand like Target.
Yeah.
You mentioned and what other types of brands that you also I know that you also shoot health and pharma, right?
Yeah, I do that too.
Okay, so we're talking some fashion lifestyle, also some pharma and health, right?
Yeah, and there are a lot of them in the Bay Area,
Mhm.
obviously. And Genentech is one here, and there are a lot of hospitals here, and those are not as high paying, but pharma is pretty big paying.
It is. It is. Okay, great. So pharma. All right, great. Now, have you targeted the Chicago market? Because Chicago is the pharma capital of America for ad agencies.
That would be great. I can do that.
Okay. I would strongly recommend you push really hard on the Chicago market. There's
Okay.
specific advertising agencies in Chicago, like Appleton Taylor, where all they do is pharmaceutical advertising. And the thing is you're a California photographer, so you already have some high profile. You've got incredible photographic content, incredible video. They would kill to work with somebody like you. So we just need to develop
Sounds
that body of
okay.
work on health and wellness and pharma that's very specific to that. So I would create a portfolio just for that. And I would market heavily to the Appleton Taylor team and also all the other agencies in Chicago that represent pharma, also in New York. So it's usually Chicago and New York are the big ones. Saatchi and Saatchi Health in New York, for instance. There's a lot of major agencies that just handle healthcare, and they're looking for
Yes.
photographers just like you, Jane, to shoot patient portraits, to shoot lifestyle advertising campaigns. And right now, more than ever before, during 2022, the dollar spend on pharma advertising is skyrocketed to another planet. We've never seen so much spending because of obviously so many, billions and billions of dollars being spent on the health and wellness industry because of the virus and everything. So now is a wonderful time to attack that market. And you know what? This is one thing that I definitely want to make sure that you're aware of, you guys, including Jane. As a how many famous photographers do you know, Jane, that shoot pharmaceutical?
Not very many.
If I was to ask a
I
poll,
can't really
I
think of
ask it
anybody.
right now, name the top 5 world-class pharmaceutical, highest earning pharmaceutical photographers. I doubt many of you guys could even come up with 2. But if I would say, hey, who are the top 5 fashion photographers? You guys can name them off. Mario Testino, Merton Marcus, you know, Pet de Machelier, you know, you name off all the amazing fashion photographers because people have heard of those, but you've never heard of the farm photographers. So Jane, there's a huge opportunity for you because there's so many great opportunities, but yet there are, as far as being prevalent in the industry, they don't even know who these people are. So maybe just the people that at the highest level, the art buyers and stuff, they might be aware, but as far as everybody else, a lot of them don't know. So you don't have to fight against that, you know, name brand that, say, the fashion industry, you've got to fight up against, because that's a little bit different. It's a little harder. It's doable, but it's just a different beast. You know, when you're competing for a Target campaign, you're going to be going against really high profile photographers that went Target too. If you're targeting GlaxoSmithKline or Pfizer, you know, or Novartis, it's going to be a very different audience and a very different type of photographer, but the budgets are much bigger. So, and I also, you know, one of the great things that Jane has done is she has invested in herself. And this is one thing that, Jane, how has investing in your own photographic portfolio helped in your photographic career this year?
Oh, it totally makes everything. It's just amazing. And I want to give you credit too, Kevin, because you, at the beginning of the pandemic, you had ways of getting loans from the SBA.
Mhm.
And I was able to do that because you had given me that information. That's one of the reasons I was so interested in doing workshops with you too. I just got a huge amount of marketing information from you and how to go about getting these big jobs, and it's so well worth it. Yes, and I did spend a fortune, but it's well worth it.
Absolutely, absolutely, it is, and it's the best investment that you can make is investing in yourself. And you're right. I mean, it was a great opportunity to hop on those government loans and such. And I even
Mhm.
remember doing a webinar where it was $33,000 in free money, and I had like 450 people live attend this webinar. And I can tell you what, I had so many doubting Thomases, so many people that were calling me out and telling me I didn't know what I was talking about, and you know, and almost telling me off. And you know what? It was way more than $33,000. When it was all said and done, the amount of free money, it was somewhere around $70,000 for instance, for California residents, as far as between all of the free money that was available, between unemployment, between the PPP loans, it was over $70,000. So I vastly underestimated. But you know, I always give you guys true and honest advice to help you achieve your goals. And you know what? That free money really helped a lot of photographers, just like you. It gave you guys, and even low interest loans, which are also absolutely fantastic. I mean, where there's no, you know, barely any interest or the government subsidizing it. Those are fantastic as well. And so many photographers took advantage, and it was absolutely genius. And I feel like, you know, you were one of the smart ones that took advantage of it, Jane. So now investing in your portfolio, how do you feel like now you've invested quite a bit in your portfolio? How is that going to pan out to, like, you know, equating, connecting the portfolio that you created, which we've been looking at, to the
Yeah.
connections with the opportunities? And I understand you already landed some big jobs, right?
Not really, not yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're working on landing some big opportunities, and you're
Mhm.
marketing to get there for 2022. That those 5 to 6 major
Had
jobs,
some
right?
great feedback from
Yeah.
people. Went to the Boulevard Artist in LA,
Hmm.
and I really felt that I felt very comfortable, and these people were very interested. So these are people that I'm going to be following up with. I
Excellent.
have already followed up with them, but I'll just keep on them.
Yeah, and you know what, Jane, one of the things that I'm personally going to recommend to you is that although having an agent can be really beneficial, a photographer like yourself is such a good personality. You have such a positive energy, and you're so likable and easy to talk to, that you
Thanks.
personally need to be following up with people, because you need to use your personality as one of your biggest assets. It's not just your work, because you have great work. A lot of photographers do, but you have great work, amazing portfolio, but it's your personality that really takes it to another level. Because a lot of times people think about not just the photography, they also want to know who this photographer is. Do they want to spend time with them on set? And by the way, this is some of Jane's work that she shot at the masterclass, a World War II vintage fashion shoot that we did in Camarillo, California. We just did this a few months back, and this was at the Elite Masterclass. And this is incredible to see this featured on Ad Edge, and unbelievable content, massive scale production here, to have these vintage 1940s fighter jets, to having unbelievable top models, world-class top styling, and to see you getting all these incredible images featured. Really, really impressive, Jane.
Thank you. I loved that shoot. I loved the masterclass. It was amazing.
Well, you knocked the socks off of me. I was really impressed at what you're able to create. I mean, just image after image of iconic images. I mean, this really, really makes a difference and stands out. So, okay, so as far as the pharma industry, I want you to strategize to say the top about 20 advertising agencies that represent pharmaceutical advertising. Now, you can, of course, find these lists on Bikini Lists, Yoda Lists, or Agency Access. You can
Which
also
I have all of those.
Great. So if you have access to those, you can pull the lists of those agencies, contact the art buyers and creative directors specifically that handle this, and you need to start, showcasing your content. Now, I would, of course, specifically be showing the health and pharma agencies, your more lifestyle content like this, and building the relationship with them. Now, historically, I always recommend sending print promos, but these days, no one's in the office. So print promos are kind of obsolete. They're not really worth your time. But I do recommend almost sending like a digital promo piece with content like this. And I know you've designed a few in the past that you've shown me. I would, just attach it to the bottom of an email. I would start emailing them personally. I would set up sophisticated email marketing campaigns. I would develop relationships with them on LinkedIn, on Facebook, start following them on all of their social platforms too, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, wherever they are as well, and start looking them up and start building rapport and also commenting positively on what those creatives are doing, because you want to get them excited.
It's a wonderful thing to do that. You really get to know people that way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I'm actually going to show you guys a step-by-step process, because I know I'm kind of making specific suggestions to Jane, but on our website on photographyworkshopseries.com, and I'll even put this link in the chat, but here you can even lift this directly off our website. You can take this and steal it. It's totally fine. I have a step-by-step 2022 business strategy plan, and I'd strongly encourage each and every one of you to put your goals out there. Okay, figure out what your goals are, literally copy and paste this. This is an example of one, okay? And this is a modest one. It's financial goal of $300,000 per year in 2022, which is very doable for many of you photographers, no matter where you live. I don't care if you're in San Francisco, New York, or if you're in rural Tennessee. That is very, very doable in this year, in 2022. I'm currently bidding on 2 advertising campaigns that are in the $250,000 realm as far as the overall budget, which I'll probably make about $150,000 to $175,000 per shoot right now. That's what I'm working on right now. I'm in the process. In fact, I just got an email this morning where I've got a meeting with them on Friday about another one where I'll be handling not only their photographic advertising campaign, but also for their media buy. Meaning I'm going to handle the placement of the media when it goes into distribution. So now the budget gets much, much bigger. So I'm coordinating with the media buying companies. So that means like where it gets placed on a billboard, or where it gets placed on social media, or where it's going to get placed on a broadcast commercial. And the payment for that, I take a percentage of that when I'm handling the media buy. So anyway, here's a 2022 example of a photographer's business strategy plan. And Jane, I would recommend, writing this and literally copy and paste this and fill it in with your goals. These are just some very basic examples, but it breaks it into first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. But it starts with selecting your best images, in which you've already done. You've already selected your best images, so you're already ahead of the game for your 2022 portfolio. You completed all your retouching and printing. You've updated your websites. You also have featured on Ad Edge, so you've already done that. And I think that's absolutely fantastic. I would also make sure to get your business, if it's not already, make sure your business is a Google business listing
Okay.
on Google, so that people like myself can write 5-star reviews for you. And everybody that I work with, and all the photographers you've met over the last year and a half at our workshops, they will also write 5-star reviews if you ask them. And that way, and then you of course ask all your clients and everybody that you work with, because you want to have a bunch of 5-star reviews. You want yourself to come up high on Google. That's helpful. You want to, and then of course, attending photographic workshops. So I know you're already signed up for, I think you mentioned Vegas in March. Designing a promo piece. Now the promo piece, I have this as a 6x11. That's just, I use it as a leave behind when I meet with somebody. A promo piece is a great example of something that traditionally it's printed, but these days it's generally more of a digital piece, but that's okay. Have it attached to the bottom of your emails. Setting up meetings with expert panelists, ones that you've met with at our workshops. You've met with panelists at our workshops in Chicago. You've met with panelists in LA and Newport Beach. I would start following up with some of those people, because you met some top tier photography agents, people that work at magazines, major decision makers. And then also send out your promo pieces. Now I would specifically send these as like e-promos to people. And set up a sophisticated email marketing campaign for that. And then follow up with these decision makers, making calls at least 1 day a week. And I would say this is a bare minimum, but I mean, if you can make it 2 days a week, that's even better. Making 50 calls a day and be reaching out to these people on a regular basis. And I would just say something really simple and just be like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited I got a hold of you. Your work that you did for the Target campaign was absolutely breathtaking. I'm a huge fan of your work, and I happen to be a lifestyle advertising photographer in California, and I think that I've got some incredible work I would just like to share with you that goes right in line with your Target campaign.
Wonderful.
And then share it with them. While you're on the phone, send them a link. Because of course
Okay.
you're busy and they're going to get off your phone. And you just want to build that relationship and put yourself on the map. And then the next time, and then of course ask the follow-up questions. So do you have any projects that you're bidding out with photographers right now? I'd love to throw my hat in the ring. And to find out if, and oftentimes they say, oh no, we already have hired a photographer, or we don't have a project going, whatever. There's always a reason. But you say, no problem, no problem. I just wanted to, touch base with you, showcase my latest work that I just shot. And if it's lifestyle, for instance, you want to show them maybe that video spread that we just showed in Chicago, where it's like lifestyle. It's perfect for something like that. Showcasing them, getting them excited about what you're doing. You shoot both video and photographic productions, and you're perfect for Target.
Wonderful.
And then follow up with them. Follow up with them every couple of weeks about what they have going on. Because a lot of times, Jane, it's not just about who you are. It's not just about who you know. It's not just about how great your photography is. A lot of it's about timing.
Yes.
Are you at the right place at the right time, getting in touch with the right decision maker? So this is just a structure of what you guys could do, and I'd recommend jumping on our website and lift it right off of our website, you guys, and and use this to your advantage. But Jane, I think that your goals are fantastic for this year. I think that they're very achievable, and I would start this marketing process. If you have, I think you attended our Marketing for Photographers virtual workshop. I would also rewatch that and get completely invigorated again and understand all the details of how to market yourself for 2022 and what you need to make happen, and really heavily devote yourself to continuously developing your portfolio, massively marketing yourself, and really putting yourself out there so that you can be rejected just like me all the time, because I love it. Now, obviously, if I land a campaign, or I, get booked on another TV show, or I have another huge opportunity, I get excited about that. Great. But I use it as leverage to land the next one. I don't sit on my laurels. Every time I shoot a campaign, even if I just bid on a campaign, I leverage that to get the next opportunity. Because clients only want to work with somebody who's got stuff going on. They don't want to work with somebody who is just like, hey, sitting around waiting for somebody to call them. Cool. So Jane, it was an absolute pleasure. Your work is incredible. And the last one I just wanted to show from this story is you created some incredible work, not just at the vintage airfield, but you also shot this unbelievable Mad Max story.
I
And
love
yeah, and this was absolutely breathtaking. So if we take a look at this, this was from another day at the Elite Masterclass. It was pretty incredible. So all right, and you know, and content like this, where are you going to get this? You know, I mean, where is somebody going to even have access to a shoot like this? It's so ridiculous. It's so over the top. We shot out at this unbelievable desert location outside of Los Angeles, and just shot this unbelievable production that was just absolutely wild, intense, fierce, totally different style of shoot. And I love the, you know, the story that you're telling, also the post-production that you incorporated here,
Thank
the
you.
costuming, the models, the production. I mean, it's just over the top. Image after image of just absolute success.
I have so much great feedback on Instagram from these images too.
Excellent, excellent. Yep. And showcasing this unbelievable content on Insta is key. And building rapport with the people that you want to connect with so that they get excited and they see all this hot new work that's coming out. Absolutely gorgeous. Excellent. Well, definitely, Jane. Well, it was such a pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much for joining us. And let's incorporate some of these strategies to make your 2022 a huge whopping success, because I want you to achieve your 2022 goals and your New Year's resolution, Jane. I want you to be extremely successful this year. And we're going to do everything we can to help you make your dreams a reality.
Thank you. You provide the most wonderful support. I just can't tell you enough. And it's been great working with you this year. I feel really lucky.
Well, thank you, Jane. It was such a pleasure. Awesome. Well, take care, Jane. And I'm going to take some more of your guys' questions because we have a lot of great ones here. I really appreciate all these amazing questions that you guys are providing. Okay, I had a photographer named Hassan Mokadam. He asks, may I ask the group, how do I build a network of good photographers to work with? The vibe is always competing versus building together. I always run into issues with payment, etc. It's just difficult. Just curious if anyone has suggestions as we continue to grow and spread our love through photography. Okay, so Hassan, I really love this question. I think this is a really great and important pivotal question. And Hassan, first of all, I want you to remember that you as a photographer are not competing with other photographers. I want you to see yourself as an ally of other photographers. Even though we might be bidding against other photographers for projects and jobs, I actually don't see photographers as my competition. I see myself as a competition, because the problem is it's not just about, hey, is my work gonna, outdo somebody else's work? No, it's really about, have I marketed myself properly? Have I built up my portfolio well enough? Have I gotten myself in with the right decision makers? Am I going to be considered? Am I going to be selected? It's not about like, oh, there's so much competition out there, I don't know what to do. It's how well I'm competing with myself about how well I can market myself. The other photographers, hey, if some other photographer, I get down to it and we're triple bidding and they select them over me, it's not usually because of photography. It's usually because that photographer has a personal relationship with the client, personal relationship with the celebrity, personal relationship where they're just going to meet with them, and they're going to hire them directly, or they've worked with them before. That's usually what happens. Or maybe their photography is more specific to what that brand is looking for. Because it's not just about how good you are, it's about how specific your photography is to what the client is trying to achieve. It's absolutely critical. So Hassan, that has a lot to do with it. So what I recommend, I know getting involved in one of our epic photographic experiences, in fact, I would recommend you jump on a strategy call with one of our photographic consultants, and you connect with them about your 2022 strategy plan. and I would recommend that you set up one of these consults. They're for free, and you can jump on with one of our photographic consultants, and we can talk about this, and they can also connect you with other photographers because they personally work with photographers every day that want to collaborate. Photographers in the photography workshop series want to collaborate, and many of them do. In fact, I mentioned a few photographers like Eric Michael Clark and Martika Garbin. They collaborate all the time. They've attended several workshops together. They throw jobs back and forth. They hire each other because sometimes the jobs get so big that they can't even do them themselves. So they hire another photographer they met at a workshop. Happens all the time. We build a community for our photographers because we want you guys to work together for success. Now, let me tackle another issue you asked, Hassan. You asked a question about, I always run into issues with payment, et cetera. It's just difficult. That's a really good question, okay? Because yeah, when it comes down to it, I'm not really sure which photography you do, Hassan, if it's commercial photography or if it's consumer photography. I'd love to hear it. But if you're, Hassan, if you are shooting either one, whether it's consumer or commercial, you need to get paid upfront. Because I talk to so many photographers that struggle with getting payments. And to me, that seems, it doesn't even make sense. Because you're being hired as a service, you're being hired to go out and do a photo shoot of somebody. If you don't get paid for that, then why are you doing it? Makes no sense to me. It's not logical. Why would you actually do a shoot and do the service without getting paid? I don't understand that thinking. Me and my entire career, I always get paid before I even show up, before I even produce the shoot, before I set up all the details, and I don't care if you're shooting portraiture or you're shooting weddings or you're shooting commercial jobs, you need to get paid up front. If it's weddings or if it's portraiture, I recommend taking 100% of the payment up front. Always, 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 under no circumstance should you do anything else. The only time in which you can get paid in addition after the fact would be if they want to order an additional print package to a portrait or a wedding album package or something like that, and that's another upsell. Then make sure to sell the entire package ahead of time so you don't have to deal with that. With, you maybe some photographers get in with like a low shoot fee and then afterwards try to upsell them. But the problem with that is that some people take advantage of that too much, and you end up, working for almost free. So I would negotiate a package up front and maybe have an option to even upsell them after that. That's how a lot of my photographers are shooting $10,000 and $15,000, $20,000 weddings. If you're shooting portraiture, definitely try to negotiate that up front. Absolutely. And if you're shooting commercial photography like I do, I get 100% of all production costs, including the models, the location fees, stylists, assistants, production crew, all the details, equipment, everything 100% upfront. And then I get my usage and creative fee, usually 50% of that upfront as well. So it's usually about 75% of the budget is paid upfront before you even start producing. And then I have the remaining 25% paid usually upon delivery of the content. And some clients, it's delivery of the final product. But that way, they have to pay you to get delivery. And that will erase all of your issues, Hassan. If you are having any issues receiving payment, if you change your policies as a photographer to get paid up front, you're not going to have issues with payment. You're just not going to, either the clients are going to do the shoot or they're not, but you're not going to have any more issues with payment. So that was what I would strongly recommend. That way you don't have to chase down clients. Never have to chase down clients. That's silly. And it'll increase how much you're earning per year. Absolutely. Hassan also asked, how do you feel about shooting celebrities? How does that ever come to happen? How can we enter that market? Well, that's a great question. I mean, I started out shooting a lot of editorial and advertising, and then I got into shooting celebrities as well. A lot of times, the best strategy for that, Hassan, is to get into developing a mind-blowing portfolio, which I strongly recommend you attend one of our fashion workshops and or lifestyle workshops that we have coming up, and develop an incredible world-class body of work with supermodels that we have cast from the biggest modeling agencies in New York, Los Angeles, Miami Beach, shooting with the best creme de la creme de la creme talent. And that will make all the difference in the world, to have mind-blowing content first. Then once you have that content, you need to then showcase it to publicists and people that own like PR agencies that manage and work with celebrities. Now, once you start doing that, if you have that content that can be backed up, that mind-blowing content, and then you showcase that to the agent representing the celebrities, you're gonna be way more likely to land that. And sometimes you might even have to do some shoots for celebrities for editorials. Basically, you're shooting for next to nothing or free. But if you're showing content like this, for instance, this was all shot at our Elite Masterclass, you're going to have a way stronger opportunity to land those campaigns and land those opportunities to shoot with celebrities. And with celebrities, a lot of times they're going with people they know, and a lot of celebrity photographers are shit photographers. A lot of them are not that good. You'd be surprised. They just go with people that they know or people that have hustled and marketed themselves well enough. But if you're a world-class photographer and you have content that looks like this, I can tell you what, you're going to be way more likely to start landing opportunities with celebrities if you can show them that you can shoot content like this, and then you build relationships with publicists. That will make a huge difference. It's a long road, but it's something that's very, very doable, and I would love for you to start doing that. So, and even if you're just doing consumer work, it's very, very possible to do that as well, Hassan. So definitely set up a consult, and let's get on and strategize about that with one of our photographic consultants. I really appreciate that. Okay, so these are excellent questions. This is another one. Okay, Tom, this is from John V. He was answering, I guess, Tom. He says, I'm 64 years old. I shoot events, portraits, headshots, and a few weddings a year. I charge way more than most of the local photographers and my clients, many nonprofits, and they all keep hiring me over and over again. See, I love that thinking, John, because that's the way that I want all of you guys to think. It's just like John B. Is the more that you charge, believe it or not, the more the clients are going to book. Because now, there's that whole perception of value. And if you're charging too little, they're not going to value as much. If you're charging more, they're going to have more of a value for you. I know that, for instance, with my castle, if I brought in for my castle to my clients and I said, you know what, this castle, it's a 49-room castle, and I'm bringing in clients that are doing $3 million weddings at this castle. And if I have clients that come to my castle and have a budget for a $3 million wedding, and I say, hey, here are 3 photographers to choose from. One photographer, they charge $2,000 for a wedding. One photographer charges $10,000 for a wedding, and one charges $20,000. Who do you think they're going to choose and select? They're not going to select the person that does a $2,000 wedding, and they might not even select the photographer that does a $10,000 wedding. They're probably going to select the photographer that does a $20,000 wedding because they equate the price with value. For the high-end market, that's what it looks like. Even for the market, and of course that's a really high level, but even if it's a client who's spending, a typical California wedding is $100,000 to $200,000 for a wedding. So say they're charging $100,000, or they have a $100,000 budget for a wedding. Even there, they're still not going to go super cheap on the photography. They're going to hire the photographer that they can trust. And I would recommend building relationships with high-end wedding planners, building relationships with other vendors, people even like me who own castles and venues, and or say it's major resorts like Ritz-Carlton's and Four Seasons. Building relationships so you can be the approved vendor, and working out deals where there's kickbacks so that the client that is going to be more likely to work with you because say that wedding planner is recommending you to them because they are now incentivizing. You're incentivizing that wedding planner where they make a percentage of it. That way they're going to put you forth. Because a lot of wedding planners don't really care who's the photographer. There's a lot of great photographers out there. They're just thinking about what's going to be more beneficial for them. So think about all these strategies, guys. We're here to help you. We're here to guide you. And I want you to start thinking about what is it that you need to achieve your goals in photography. And I love these comments because these are absolutely brilliant and they keep coming in. And guys, I want you to start thinking about, the end all be all prize. Okay. So I want the great Daniel Rothschild to come on because he is Jane's mentor and guide. He is one of our absolute greatest strategists and photographic consultants that we've ever worked with. And the great Daniel Rothschild has coached hundreds and hundreds of world-class photographers to achieve greatness, and I really am grateful to have him on our team. So Dan, I would love for you to jump on, and I'd like for you to talk a little bit about achieving success and essentially how to really make things happen. To outline the steps to accomplish success in photography and get photographers going for 2022 and make all of this into a reality. So Dan, without further ado, here is the great Daniel Rothschild.
Hi, Kevin.
Hey,
wow,
Dan.
wow. Well, thank you for the intro. Greatly appreciate it. So, first of all, Happy New Year, everybody. Happy 2022. I'll bet everybody's happy that 2022 arrived and it's new. And it's as new as we each will make it. Kevin mentioned a lot of great things, Jane did, and it's, I'm going to simplify things as I pretty much always do. Let's talk about how to make 2022 great for you. All right. So success in photography, it sounds complex, but it's really not. It's not rocket science. And Kevin always gives tons of great info of how to really make it work. And I believe to make it simple helps. And so if you take simple steps and what I'm going to go over is how do you make 2022 great for you? So if you take simple steps, you have to do these things. You may not like to hear that. When you think about doing certain things, you may go, oh my gosh, it's work, but it's worth it. You love photography. That's number one. So you might as well get the benefit and the rewards of doing it. So the steps that you have to take and follow to make success. One, and Jane and Kevin's conversation was so important. First is planning and definitions. So you have to make a business plan. Now, I know the word business sometimes will freak out a photographer because we're on the art side mentally, the right lowers, but you have to balance and include business with art, or you'll just be doing art for art's sake. So you have to physically write a definition like Jane has done. And so I've been working with her, and she wrote this great beginning quarter definition of her plans and the details and the definitions, daily, weekly, monthly. And by writing it, it's an interesting thing. Writing your goals and your plans makes it molecular. Now, I know that sounds a little heady, but it's true. If you just let it swirl around your mind, it never lands. You write it, it becomes a molecule and physical and starts happening. So you have to write your plan in details and know that you're gonna fine tune that forever. You'll always keep advancing and fine tuning that plan, those definitions. So you have to write a plan, just like Jane did. You also have to know your target market. Who do you want to hire you? Who are you going after? Because if you don't have any idea and any focus of who am I going after, what am I going to get, it can't happen. So again, write down and start making a long list and keep adding to it. Every day you come across a new company, new advertising agency, new photographic agency, on and on, add it to the list. So know your target market, who you're going after. Make the list. You can get data from organizations like Agency Access, Bikini List, where you'll get the artistic directors' names, their email, their sometimes phone number, the creative directors, all the different people that you want to go after to talk to get them to consider hiring you. And you have to, Kevin has mentioned this ever since I've known him and I've been working with him. And it's probably one of the most important things going, and that is your portfolio. You have to, part of the challenge we all know is, well, we have clients, and that's what our portfolio is. The clients aren't professionals that are trained to present and make most incredible expressions and photos and looks and feelings and all that. So you have to have a world-class portfolio to be noticed and considered, because there's millions of photographers, and all the different companies and the creative directors and the artistic directors are receiving every day photographers, so when you send a photo, like some of the photos Kevin showed that the photographers have made, like Jane in the workshops, you put that across their desk, they're going to stop for a moment and go, whoa, who is this? Now, if they don't respond to you, that doesn't mean they don't like you. As Kevin said and Jane said, it's the timing. They may not yet, but they will down the road. So you have to just keep putting your name in front of them. So you have to have a portfolio, which is part of the work we do at the workshops that makes people get noticed photographically. The next thing is, once you have a good portfolio for marketing yourself and to present yourself and all, and you have a list of who you want to go after, there's a real important step. You have to make sure you give yourself a chance for success. And that is, you have to calendar time to market yourself. Now, I work with photographers every day and help them and show them that you can start off real easy to market, like emailing or phone calling. Well, then it's kind of like a diet program. If I have to lose 50 pounds and I start off going, I got to lose 50 pounds, that isn't going to last too long. But if I think I need to lose 5 pounds, I can do that. Marketing is the same thing. If you're not into marketing, you just you set up a real simple goal every week. You put it in your calendar. You're going to do this for an hour. Do this, maybe 3 days a week. You work an hour on sending out your photos to the contacts you're going after. So you calendar it though. You put it in there. This is what I'm doing every week. If something changes, let's say you get hired for a photo shoot, and it's during that same time you had calendar to do your marketing. It's pretty simple. You just shift it to another day that week. You don't ignore it. So give yourself a chance for success, and put in the calendar, and part of your business plan is, I'm going to reach out to people. There's another point, and that's mental, and that is already know you're successful. Success is all, really, if you get down to it, it's about learning. Life is about learning. Sometimes what you go after, you may not get, but then it opens a door and you get it later on. It's all about learning. It's all good. Kevin, I love it. I laugh when Kevin says, I love to be rejected. It's so smart, because what that means is you're okay with the full process of what it takes to hit that success. If I call 10 people and one answers, okay, gosh, and I wanted to talk to 10 people, I'm going to call 100 times. It's simple math, but it's all good. It's really a numbers game to catch that one moment when someone happens to be there and they're interested in looking for someone, and you call at that time, and it just happens because you're focused on it, making it happen. So always know you're successful, feel it, be it, and it happens then. This next point I think is super important as well, and that is decide. Make a decision. I'll just say it how it is, that you're going to get your out of the chair and do these steps it takes. Because success just doesn't arrive at the door and knock and going, hey, we want to make sure you're successful. You have to make up your mind. You're going to do these steps and do the work it takes. Now, you may want to just be a great local photographer. Fantastic. But do it well. Do these steps wherever you are and whatever you're going after. So all of these steps and things I'm going over, it's what makes advancement. So it's important stuff. Now, the photography workshop series, what I love about what we do and why I do it every day is we educate, we give guidance, we give mentoring. We're there for every photographer as much as they want. That you create world-class portfolio photos. My motto and our motto is, we will help you as much as you will allow us to. So there's much to share. And much as you heard Jane, she's been following the steps, things are happening, it's in action. I mean, think of, gosh, some of the great photographers that we work with, Hans J. Paul, David Giesbrecht, Mike Weiland. I can go down a long list, but the point is, you follow these steps, you're going to create as much success as you want. So, Kevin, that's my 2 cents worth.
Well, I love it, Dan, and I appreciate all those great words, because you have, you mentioned a few critical things. One being, it's really about you, and it's about how much do you want to succeed? A lot of photographers, they think like, yay, it's all about, word of mouth, and people are going to call me out of the blue, and people are going to book me or whatever if they think I'm a good photographer, whatever. It doesn't work that way, guys. It doesn't work that way. And honestly, it hasn't worked that way in 20, 30 years. It's just not the way that the industry works. Even the big time world-class successful photographers, they've got hustle. They've got to market themselves. They have to build relationships, and they have to take it to the next level. So Dan, that was some brilliant advice. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Kevin.
And I know that you're here for each and every one of your photographers, to guide them and to help them succeed and meet their New Year's resolution for 2022. So guys, if you want to jump on a photographic strategy session for 2022, just like we did with Jane Ritchie, and you want to talk with one of our team members and develop your strategy, we're offering that for free. And I'd strongly recommend it, even if you guys have done it already. I think that it's really important to come up with your 2022 strategy plan. It's really important to me personally, because I want each and every one of you to set out goals, just like we talked about and showcase on our website, where you can, lift it right off of our website and steal that and use it for yourself is totally fine with me. But I want to make sure that each and every one of you is doing the action steps that it takes to succeed photographically in your career. It's everything to me. And I encourage you to put yourself out there, to get rejected, to put yourself out there, to reach out to people, connect with people. And if you're not connecting with them, they don't know who you are. So it's almost like it doesn't even matter. You have to make sure you connect. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of messaging. I use LinkedIn really heavily, so much so that I actually have 2 people that work full time with me, communicating with decision makers on LinkedIn, building relationships. You then have to follow up with them. You have to make phone calls. You have to set up Zoom calls. I've got a Zoom call set up for Friday with this client where, like I was talking about, it's about a $250,000 project. And I've got a Zoom call set up with the client. So it's going to be myself, my producer in New York, and then the client. And we're going to be talking about the parameters of the job and bidding on the campaign. So, and even when projects come and you bid on the job, still, they might not make a decision right away. So it's up to you to continuously follow up with them. And you kind of have to toe the line of not being like pestering, but being persistent and following up with adding value each and every time. So I'm not just asking him and reminding him something, I'm going to add value. Come up with something else that you can add to the shoot, something else that makes you special, that's going to make you stand out, that's going to make you the photographer or the director that they're going to select and choose to shoot their project, and be the person that you're their ambassador to the world. And it's you, and it's your opportunity to stand above and to become the most sought after world-class photographer. But you've got to get yourself out there. And I've been so impressed at photographers like Jane, for instance, that have achieved incredible success. We've had all kinds of awards being won this last year through our photographers, being featured in major publications like Lurzer's Archive, for instance, and being able to win awards and the One Island Awards, the Color Awards. I mean, it's really incredible. It's very impressive. And I'm proud and I'm impressed at our photographers and all of their successes, because what it means is that more people are seeing them. More people are knowing that they're out there by seeing their content over and over again. Now, for instance, in the TIFA Awards, we had, I believe this was the great Evan Siegel. He has a whole desert fashion spread of what he shot in Vegas with us, which is incredible to see this and to be featured in the TIFO Awards. Pretty incredible to see this, you know, and I'm seeing this every day. I'm getting more and more of these emails coming in from photographers that have attended our workshops, that have attended and shot mind-blowing content at these workshops and are getting featured in major magazines and major awards. I mean, it's really incredible. And I love to see you guys succeed because that's what you're here for. Winning awards is really helpful. Getting published is really helpful. Getting yourself out there in front of people, connecting with decision makers at ad agencies, connecting with publicists, connecting with magazines, and getting yourself out there as much as possible. That's what I'm going to encourage you guys to do because the projects are coming in. Photographers are being booked left and right. Don't let yourself be left in the dust. I want you to take advantage of that and be the selected photographer. You should be taking advantage of that situation. But it all starts with developing your world-class photographic portfolio, just like Jane did, just like Evan did, just like many of our photographers we've touched base with and talked about. I want you to achieve greatness. And we're here to help you, guide you every step of the way. And I want you guys to set up consults and strategy sessions with us because I'm here to make sure that we make your 2022 New Year's resolution a reality. That's what it's all about. So I hope you guys have an amazing year, and we're here to help you achieve success in your photography. That's what this is all about. Take care, guys, and I can't wait to see you on set.